Hello and welcome. My name is Kate Marand. I'm the Program Manager for the Department of Small and Local Business Development's Innovation and Equitable Development Division. We often say Inno.ED and we go by Inno.ED. That is our email address, inno.ed@dc.gov. And we're really excited today to be able to tell you more about the various different things that all of our team members do to support small businesses in the district and how we are so passionate about that. What it means that we are looking at equitable development and how that is a ever-changing and ever-growing conversation for what equity means and for what access means. But let's go ahead and dive in. Today, you're going to hear from Shannon Taylor, our project manager for DC-based brands in Made in DC, Camille Nixon, who is our project and capital access manager, Caroline Howe, who is our project manager for Aspire, Cynthia Golson, who is our program assistant, and myself. But first, we're just going to tell you a little bit about some of the background of the Inno.ED team. Because if you've met with us in the past 5 years, it continues to grow. We continue to do different things. And then we're just going to walk through with each one of the team members to talk about some of the things that they're focusing on now and some of the programs that you can get involved with. So the first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about some of the mission that both we have, but also the department that we're part of. Inno.ED is part of the Department of Small and Local Business Development, and we really appreciate being part of such a wonderful agency that does so many different things. So if there's something that your business needs, it may not come from us, but we'll be able to help connect you with other parts of the department and other parts of the small business ecosystem across the district. But DSLBD, we support the development of economic growth and retention of DC-based businesses. And it also promotes economic development throughout the district's commercial corridors. Within that, Inno.ED has been charged with being able to build the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And so we do have a lot of statutory programs that we're going to talk about, but we also do a lot of initiatives all of the time. Everything that we do is aimed at removing barriers to entrepreneurship, and we can't wait to tell you more about how we do that. So a little bit of history for the Inno.ED division, which started about 5, maybe 6 years ago. My math is a little fuzzy, it looks like 6, but we first started with the Aspire pilot. I'm not going to go through everything that's on this slide, but just a little bit of the key pieces. In those first couple of years, we did a lot of stakeholder meetings, meeting with people on topics like entrepreneurship and returning citizens, entrepreneurship and youth, entrepreneurship and disability, cooperatives. And these were open meetings that anyone could come to and really helped to build out what are the principles of how Inno.ED should operate. We originally had a different name, so in 2017, actually 2018, we rebranded that. It was 2017 when we first started to do microgrants. We've had a number of different microgrant programs that we've then had over the years. Then in 2018, we also started doing a number of trainings, and we've been building those trainings and changing those in different ways. 2020 was a big year for everyone for a lot of different reasons, and the team started to really grow at that point as well. And so we pulled the access to capital portfolio into the team as Camille Nixon joined us. That also brought the DC Business Toolkit. And from then, we just keep building and adding more things. And just a little bit of the numbers. And again, I'm not going to go through everything that's here, but some of the things that we can count and can share about some of the things that we do. So there are 5 team members. We do have 6 major programs. How we count that can be a little hard because we have many initiatives that we're also involved with. So when something becomes an initiative versus a program, really depends on how it is included in district government law or district government budget. But many of the things we do include sessions like this, just talking to the public, bringing in other members of the small business ecosystem and trying to get as much information out as possible. So in 2021 alone, we held over 270 trainings and information sessions. We also met one-on-one with businesses, providing over 1,500 hours of technical assistance. And so we know that we meet a lot of small businesses. We meet a lot of small businesses very quickly, and we try to get you connected to yet more pieces of the ecosystem. So a few other real quick pieces through here. We've had programs that have hundreds of people who've been involved in them. We support and back loans. We directly help people get Kiva loans, and we send out huge amounts of information through the toolkit. We also have made microgrants. So over 400 businesses in the District of Columbia have received the over $4.5 million in grants that we've distributed in the last few years. We can't do this without all of the partners that we have across the district and elsewhere. And so at any given time, we have about 50 strategic partnerships, meeting with different people who are all part of the same idea. How do we support DC businesses and entrepreneurs? And those are incredibly valuable. And we've gotten to meet over 11,000 entrepreneurs and small businesses in the last 5 years. We know that there are many more, and we really appreciate the folks that we've gotten to meet. And I want to say we really are appreciative of the opportunity to do this work. It's important work, and one of the things that is a key principle for Inno.ED is that entrepreneurship is for everyone. People might take it in different ways. They might have different size businesses. It could be a very small home-based business, or they could be working to scale a very large business. And all of that fits within entrepreneurship. So just a few key themes for how Inno.ED got developed from some of our early programs. Heard that Aspire was one of our first programs, and there were some principles that those stakeholders developed. And we try to follow those principles in everything that we do. And that is meeting people where they are, building community, and building community wealth. From one of our core trainings that we launched in 2018 called Build a Dream, we also have some principles that we started to build in from all of the work that we were seeing from what small businesses were doing. And so again, entrepreneurship is for everyone. And we recognize the incredible value of small businesses and entrepreneurs because you solve problems for our communities every day. One of the things that's so important for small businesses, if you're starting small, is that you're going to build those dreams one step at a time. But anyone who is a small business owner or an entrepreneur is a community leader, and that role is valuable. A quick moment on equity. So equity is in the name of Innovation and Equitable Development. And a lot of what we do with that is thinking about how to increase equitable access to resources and information. But there's always more resources and information and always more people who want to connect to that. And I think within that and to the principles of Inno.ED, what does it mean to define equity and equitable access? That is an ongoing collaborative effort. And it's one, not only do we partner with our strategic partners to think about that, and there are other partners who are within the agency and within government, but we also partner with you, and we always want to hear from you and hear from small businesses. What does equity mean? What does equitable access mean? Is it being achieved? Is it not? And how does that grow? So I do want to just highlight those partnerships, how important they are. All sorts of nonprofits across the district. There are over, actually, I don't even know the number. I think Camille knows this number, but there are dozens of organizations that are in place to provide free services to small businesses. And we try to partner with all of them. We try to partner all across government so that we can start to get more and more information to share with you. And one of the first ways that we typically share that with entrepreneurs is through something that each one of the team members is going to talk about, and it's technical assistance. If you've participated in technical assistance with someone, you might have a sense of how that works. It's usually strategic advice, talking about the problems that you're facing or the resources that you're looking for, or just thinking through an idea. So we do a lot of programs, we do a lot of trainings, we have a lot of grants, but if we interact with you, probably the first and most often way we'll interact with you is a technical assistance call. So each one of our 4 program leads has several spots per week for a 30-minute one-on-one phone call to talk about anything. So that is your topic that you can bring. Every program lead has specialties of things that they can really dive into, but everyone on the team can talk about all issues. So as you're scheduling, and you can see the link that's down here, if you do want to schedule, you might see something that stands out that you particularly want to talk to someone, but you can also talk to any of us about any of the topics. So if you're also just looking at what time is available, feel free to book with anyone for the time that's going to work for you. And the other way that you can reach out to us, everyone on this team is part of the Inno.ED email. And so if you're not sure who to connect with, or you're looking for something, or just want to see if we can help get you connected with something, please reach out to inno.ed@dc.gov. But I want to start jumping in and having our wonderful program leads tell you more about what they do. So you see some great details about Shannon on the slide here. She's been with us for 2.5 years. It definitely feels like longer because she's gotten a lot done in that time. And she has joined us from DCRA. But I'm going to turn it over to Shannon to talk a little bit about what she does and why she is passionate about supporting DC entrepreneurs.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kate. I guess I am leading the charge for the team. Super exciting. Glad you guys joined us today. This is an amazing opportunity for the team to really just showcase and highlight all of the amazing work that we do. So I will go ahead and get us started. As Kate mentioned, I'm Shannon Taylor, one of the members of the Inno.ED team. I have been with DSLBD, for 2.5 years. Definitely feels longer, but certainly feels like family. So I have enjoyed my time here. As Kate mentioned, a little bit more about me or my background, having joined the team in 2019, coming from DCRA, which I'm sure many of you on the line have interacted with in some capacity as it pertains to your small business. Previously there, I was the program manager of the vending and special events division. So again, very close work with small businesses or micro businesses, specifically those within the mobile and vending space. And so to Kate's point, I would say that just speaks to my passion, right, in supporting DC entrepreneurs. And so I chose to join DSLBD and continue on that journey. Having worked at DCRA, as many of you know, it is a stringent, very by the rule, regulated based agency. And so where that was great, and I felt like, doing that work and seeing individual businesses like yourself get your business license and feel energized and encouraged to go on into the entrepreneurial space or on your entrepreneurial journey, it was kind of, unfortunately, that relationship in most cases ended there, right? So you went on, you did your thing, and until you needed to renew, we didn't have much of a touch base with you. And so coming over to DSLBD, what I learned about myself is that I love the story, right? Like I am your love story person. It is near and dear to my heart. I love to see from the start until, all the way through the journey of the business. And being with DSLBD has allowed me that ability to support businesses at every level of business, really building personal relationships with business owners, watching you grow, watching the pivots of the business. And I think that is what keeps me so passionate day to day in the work that I do with DSLBD, specifically looking to support our DC entrepreneurs. And so I'll jump into specifically my work for the agency. On the next slide, as Kate mentioned, I am the project manager of the Made in DC program. The Made in DC program is one of those statutory programs that Kate mentioned that our division directly manages. And for those of you that might not be familiar with the Made in DC program, it is a program specifically to highlight and connect with our maker creative businesses here in DC. So if you are a creative business that is making, assembling, manufacturing, designing a thing here in DC, we definitely want to connect with you. And so I came on board to manage the Made in DC program, excuse me. And through that, we do a lot of promotion and really act as a conduit between government and our maker businesses to connect you to the necessary resources to really grow your business, whether that's a call for vendor opportunity, a farmer's market that's looking for businesses to participate, and most excitingly, being able to roll out our very first market access micro grant for Made in DC specific businesses. And so if you are not already, I definitely encourage you to visit our website. It's www.thisismadeindc.com to just explore all of our amazing makers who are already listed there in our shop local directory. In addition to signing up, if you are a business that based on the criteria here on the screen, you believe that you will qualify. And so to qualify for that certification, your business must be 50% resident owned, meaning you are a district government resident. You are going to attest that you're making and designing that thing here. In addition to that, you're also going to be a licensed business through the necessary regulatory channels. And so those, if you have questions about that, we can definitely reach out there. But the last thing I wanted to highlight about Made in DC before moving on, if you are not already doing so, I definitely encourage you to follow our Instagram account. This is Made in DC. And that is where you'll see a lot and learn a lot about our businesses that are part of that program and just different opportunities. That Instagram following has grown to a robust 30,000 followers, and those are not only our maker businesses, but consumers, individuals that are definitely tuned in and very prescriptive in where they're spending their money, seeking to shop local and support local businesses. And so I would encourage you to go there and definitely check those out and visit with us. So in addition to Made in DC, on the next slide, you will also see that I manage several of the division's micro grant programs. So Kate mentioned at the beginning, we have awarded over 400 micro businesses with through our grants programs, totaling $4.5 million. That is amazing, right? I mentioned the Made in DC Market Access Program, which was a grant specifically for our maker businesses, but I've also managed our Robust Retail Grant, in addition to launching our new Dream Pitch. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. The Robust Retail Grant in previous years was specifically for our brick and mortar businesses. It was a way for these businesses to get access to additional funding to really address the rising operational costs, rent challenges that many businesses face here throughout the city. And so our Dream Pitch program, which I'm super excited about, will be rolling out here in the coming days, is specifically a growth and sustainability grant for our businesses located east of the river. So businesses that are located specifically in Wards 7 and 8, majority owned resident businesses with 5 or fewer employees. And so, of course, all grant programs are dependent on our assigned budget, as Kate mentioned before. These previous programs that I managed were all funded by council in some capacity throughout the year. And so we're hoping and continuing to really push on and press on the urgency and the need for additional funding in this way, as typically this is the first experience that many micro businesses get with funding for their business. And I know Camille will elaborate on that through her presentation, but being able to make these grants is super empowering, continues to add to that story, adds to that why for the businesses. And so through that, we continue to change, think about, ideate, try to be as innovative as possible in these grant programs to make them as inclusive as possible with a true lens for equity and making sure that they are accessible to all of our small businesses here. And so with that, on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about my technical assistance expertise, if you will. As Kate mentioned, we have a robust technical assistance program throughout the team, but all of my technical assistance, if you choose to schedule with me, is going to have a heavy emphasis on Made in DC and then regulatory questions. Being that I have the background with DCRA and the licensing division, and also previously being at DDOT for a time in the public space division, a lot of my TA is going to be able to just give you insight, helping you to connect and navigate that regulatory space. I am by far not an expert, but I am very well aware of the process, how and where you should go to navigate some of these pieces. And so typically many people think about DCRA, right? Like DCRA, but there are other regulatory agencies and entities that we want you to be aware of in your business. And so a lot of what we will talk about in our technical assistance calls will be where you are in that regulatory space so that you can say with certainty at the end that your business is a fully registered and licensed entity to do business here. And that is important. I know all businesses are not at that stage yet. That is why we're here. We're going to support you through that. But it is a necessary step for businesses to go through, specifically when you really start to think about connecting to additional resources, i.e. grants or financial resources. Those are going to be components that are going to be required. The business license is going to be required. The clean hand certificate is going to be required. And so in those technical conversations, we'll talk through and walk through all of those pieces. I'm aware, and I'm a small business owner myself. I've hurdled that regulatory process. It can be a little unnerving. It can be hard to navigate. And so in my technical assistance expertise, I'm just looking to kind of knock down those barriers, make it as plain as it can be so that you can obtain the necessary documents that you need. So I know that the team has dropped that link in the chat several times. Definitely feel free to schedule with me. You'll also see that I will be adding some additional technical assistance days as we have partnered with the Hive over at the Anacostia Art Center to offer some in-person technical assistance as well. And so I just encourage you guys, if you have questions, definitely connect with us, and we're happy to make those connections to those necessary regulatory agencies. And so I think that is my time, and I will go ahead and pass it over to Caroline Howe to introduce her program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. So as the slide mentions, I joined the Inno.ED team a little over a year ago and joined DSLBD from the Department of Energy and Environment. And before that was at UDC, the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability, and Environmental Sciences. So I do have a real passion for sustainability. And I think that the way that we solve some of our biggest sustainability challenges, both in the district and in our world, is by empowering individuals to make businesses that serve their communities and tackle those challenges, whether that's climate change or waste or food access. I think that small business is part of the solution and a really essential part. So I also am really passionate about entrepreneurship because it, for me, was a pathway to really understand my own power and my ability to make change. And so I love supporting entrepreneurs as they realize their own power. And it is why I love being a part of the Innovation and Equitable Development team at DSLBD. So I am, as Kate mentioned, the project manager for Aspire, and also work on lots of our sustainability support for sustainable businesses. So I'm excited to tell you more. Next slide. Thank you. So as Kate mentioned at the very beginning, Aspire was one of Inno.ED's first programs, and it has taken many different shapes over the past 6 years. I've been at DSLBD for just over a year. So in 2021, we redesigned and introduced the Aspire Pitch program, which is a 12-week cohort for returning citizen-led businesses. And that program takes folks through a lot of training about how to run a business, how to design your business, how to make the most of your business, from financing to marketing, and learning from lots of other returning citizen-led entrepreneurs. So we are going to be opening applications for We Aspire 2022, and I'm really excited about seeing that next cohort as well. Both last year's cohort and this cohort were 40 businesses. And so that means 40 returning citizens who have been able to really understand what it takes to launch a business and launch and scale their businesses. Both last year and this year, we're also accepting existing businesses. So a lot of businesses were already operating. And I think we really took from surviving to thriving in their businesses. And so I'm really excited about that. Again, the passion, I think, for our whole team behind We Aspire and for DSLBD is, again, this question of equity, that returning citizens in the district are disproportionately people of color and have been in our justice system, unfortunately, bearing the burden of past historical injustice in terms of criminal enforcement. So for us, it's really an opportunity to be serving communities of returning citizens, people who are formerly incarcerated, to be able to, or justice involved, to be able to really make a really positive impact in their community and build a business when they face so many barriers to employment in the world at large. So again, why we're so passionate about Aspire. And in addition to the Aspire program, we provide technical assistance to returning citizens operating their business at whatever stage they're at. Next slide, please. So while it is a little bit different, but also deeply connected in terms of both equity and sustainability, I also support a lot of our sustainability and green business programs. So this is growing and evolving, but new in 2021, we launched the Food Waste Innovation Grants. Those are grants for food businesses in the district, anyone who's producing, processing, or serving food and beverages, to be able to really tackle their food waste. So it includes free food waste assessments for food businesses, 100 businesses in the district are going to receive a compost credit, $1,000 towards their composting, which will provide free composting for 3 to 6 months for most businesses. And then it's also, we have $300,000 of grants that we're distributing to restaurants to implement innovative food waste solutions. So I'm thrilled about that. And it really is building off of 2 other programs that we've been involved in for even longer, which is the Food Matters cohort with the National Resources Defense Council, which is an incredible national cohort of cities committed to tackling food waste through business and residential interventions, as well as policy. And then in DC, the Food Recovery Working Group, which organizes DC Food Recovery Week every year, supporting businesses to really think differently about food and food recovery. Relatedly, the Upcycled Food Association, which supports businesses that are creatively using food that would otherwise be thrown away or ugly food that can't be sold into processed food. So, and we're beginning to make more and more of these connections in between businesses to see how outputs from one business can actually be inputs to another. So if any of that interests you, please do follow up. We also ran last year a training called Green Beans. Anticipate there being more trainings done between DSLBD and DOEE. There are some of those coming up, so check out our Eventbrite, but also our Green Beans trainings. Many of them have been recorded. So take a look at our YouTube for a lot of those trainings. So that was talking a lot about food waste, but we support food businesses wherever they are in the food system and in their life cycle. So while the entire team provides so much support to micro food businesses, and obviously if you are a food business watching this, you'll see that there are ways for you to, many food businesses to register for Made in DC, and you'll hear about financing food businesses from Camille. But many of the pieces that I do are thinking about some of the pieces of business registration for food businesses, moving from an informal food business to formal, whether that's getting your cottage food license or getting registered, which involves finding a kitchen. And that's, as Kate said, we really try to identify the barrier, solve the barrier. So the barrier we've heard from so many food businesses is accessing affordable kitchen space. So we do run commercial kitchen matchmaking, and I am the ex officio member of the Food Policy Council and coordinate our entrepreneurship and food jobs working group. And so that is an incredible group to participate in if you would like to inform how the city is handling both policy and programs to support entrepreneurs and people working in the food sector. So a lot of my technical assistance sessions, which I support businesses that are entering in the sustainability space or as food business, and of course, also returning citizens, whatever type of business that they are running. So even if returning citizens do not join Aspire, there are tons of resources to connect with, both within our team at Inno.ED and beyond in district government and in the district as a whole. So really encourage you to set up TA booking with me if that is if that's relevant, and so many people working throughout the district to support food entrepreneurs and a lot of different funding streams that are available now, and we anticipate being available throughout 2022. So hope that you, if any of those align, connect, and as Kate mentioned, also happy to have TA sessions with anyone in any other kind of business as well. Thank you so much. And I think I'm going to pass the mic virtually over to Camille.
Thanks, Caroline. Hey, everybody. I'm Camille Nixon, a project manager and capital access manager for Inno.ED team. I've been with DC government and DSLBD for quite a while. I'm driven by my passion for working in the district, my hometown, as well as with entrepreneurs. That passion is really driven by, I'm an immigrant, a daughter of immigrants who are serial entrepreneurs, and has watched how they hustled and exposed themselves to new skills, new languages, to help them start up their businesses and use it as a way to have individual and generational wealth And I see DC businesses doing that all the time. And the core of what I do is try and connect those entrepreneurs to the resources, the funding, the tools that they need for their specific advancement of their business in the district. And that varies across the board, but we want to make sure through our work at Inno.ED and DSLBD at large that everyone has access to the resources that they need so they can equitably advance forward. So I'll walk through some of the things that I do and how it connects to the work that Caroline, Shannon, Cynthia, and Kate and I do. So District Capitalized is our coordinating program that pulls together all the things that you need to move forward financially for your business. Often people think that means getting to a grant or a loan, which is part of it, financing, but also managing your business, the financial management side of your business, and best of all, getting funding by generating revenue. So District Capitalized pulls together the products like grants, like the Shannon mentioned, and also Caroline mentioned, loans, as well as training and guidance, which I'll speak about in a second, and also supporting the lenders and service providers who are helping you. We help them to make sure that they're around, so we have a really robust ecosystem of access to capital providers to help you from all stages of your business, whether you're just having an idea all the way to you're going after a national contract with a corporation. We want to help you at all stages for the financing and financial management. And one way we started doing that recently last year is that we partnered with Kiva, which is a national nonprofit that works worldwide to have businesses access crowd-funded loans. And this is crowdfunding. You say, what is that? It's pulling together pieces of money from individuals to make up one loan. And it's a great way to get funding at all stages of your business. Again, you have the idea or your established business, and it's a no barrier application process, which means some of the things that perhaps have locked out some businesses from financing, their individual experiences, their financial record, lack of revenue, that doesn't matter for Kiva. They're very open as far as the ability to apply, low paperwork, and best of all, 0% interest rate, no fees, and extensive guidance from myself and the rest of the DSLBD team, excuse me, to help you walk through that process and help you from the application all the way through your campaign. And finally, when you get the loan, we're still there to help you with the repayment process. So the links are at the bottom of the screen here if you want to check out either of those programs. And part of the District Capitalized program includes the guidance, the training, which I'll talk about now. Next slide, please. So Money Mondays is one of our several efforts to bring you training in the group setting. Again, it happens mostly on Mondays. Sometimes we move it to an alternate day if we have a holiday. But it's information on a variety of topics around accessing capital, obtaining funding, generating revenue, and managing your money. DSLBD does the presentations. Also, we pull in our partners to do presentations, and they're listed on our Eventbrite, which the link is down there below. We also have opportunities for you to meet one-on-one with me, which I'll speak about in a second. And we mentioned the Kiva, we mentioned market access grants, we mentioned food waste innovation grants. There seems to be a lot of funding out there, which is great, but sometimes it's kind of hard to wrangle what's out there, when's it's due, what's relevant for you. So we have the DC Business Funding Alert. And if you subscribe to that, you'll get an update at least once a month. Sometimes we do additional ones depending on how many different resources are coming out that month. But this will help you navigate what's out there and quickly see if it's good, something relevant for you that you can click through and learn more about the funding opportunity. I encourage you to join that. Next slide, please. The DC Business Toolkit, this is an online portal that pulls together all the resources in the district that will help you start your business. And Kate mentioned at the top, we have several dozen service providers. It's actually 150 service providers and agencies. I'd say about 100 are actually in the district, and then we add on the federal ones, which seems like a lot. And they have various ways of touching your business. Some are lighter than others, but they're all available to you, but it's hard to find them if you don't know where to look. So we developed the DC Business Toolkit several years ago that pulls together that information in one place and packages it for you in different ways so you can readily find the information that you need. The citywide business calendar has events including trainings and networking opportunities. Usually about 70 or so a month are posted there. Because there's so many great resources in the district and now included on the toolkit, it might be hard to navigate to see what's relevant for a particular issue that you're dealing with or your type of business. So we have roadmaps to help you piece together those various parts of the resources to help you. There's a shop local DC directory, and this is a great resource if you're trying to promote your business. It's almost like having a second website. If you haven't started a website, you can point to this page until you do. It's a chance for you also to network with other businesses. It's free to use the toolkit, but if you do sign up for the free user account, you'll be able to access that networking feature, which means that you can connect with other businesses, either to sell to each other, to cooperatively work together, perhaps to reduce cost and advertise, and also to find mentors or be a mentor to another business. So that's a feature that you can get, as well as you can have a saved resource page, your own customized library of all the resources that you found helpful. You can add that to your saved resource page if you set up a free account. So I encourage you to check out the toolkit. And I left the email on the first page of my presentation in case you're an agency or service provider listening and you'd like to provide content for the toolkit. You're welcome to do so. We can set you up with an account so you can connect with businesses who need your assistance. Next slide, please. Thank you. As my team members have mentioned, we love to meet with you, both to help with your question, but honestly, that informs me of where we need to do more work, where we can provide more resources. So it's also an education to me when you come with a question of any type. So I'm available for one-on-one consultations. I'm also kicking off drop-in hours starting next Wednesday, where I'll be available if you want to ask a question, do a pitch practice, whatever is helpful to you. In addition to that, I have specific hours for just people who are going through the Kiva application process so that you can get whatever assistance you need to move that forward as soon as possible. I cover a variety of topics. I've learned a lot and done a lot in the time that I've been with the DC government. So any questions about access to capital, cooperative or collaborative, working together collaboratively with other businesses is a passion of mine. I did a lot of previous work around capital improvements in commercial space and green business operations. So again, as my team members have mentioned, don't get stressed about who does what. Just sign up to meet with us. And if it's not me, I'll be sure to connect you to the right team member or agency that could help you with your question. Next slide. Oh, wonderful. I have the honor of kicking it over to Cynthia. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you so very much, Camille. Hello, everyone. My name is Cynthia Golson. I am, as the slides say, the newest team member. I have been with DSLBD for 6 months now, and I feel like I've been with them much longer because I've learned so much within the time that I've been with them. I come from DC Department of Corrections. I used to work with returning citizens. So DSLBD do the same. So my passion for entrepreneurs is working with people, helping with resources, and giving you all of the information that I can share, that I have. Next slide, please. All right, so I am the person that do everything behind the scenes. I check the applications, I make sure that you guys are in compliant, and I will give you calls to, let you know if you are an awarded grantee, and to let you know if we need things for you to complete your application or to help you complete your application if you have questions. So I'll give you calls about that, Kiva Hub. And if you have any questions for me, you can ask me as well. And if you have questions about TNA, I'll be able to point you in the right direction so that you can sign up for that. So hopefully I will be hearing from you guys soon. Thank you.
Cynthia, thank you so much. And thank you everyone who has stayed with us. I know we're a little over time. I'm going to get through the last couple of slides and then we will stick around for Q&A in case people have questions. But once again, my name is Kate Marand. I have been with DSLBD for 6 years. Before that, I also spent a little bit of time at DCRA working on business licensing reform. I am passionate about entrepreneurs, and I didn't realize this until I started doing this work, but my parents are entrepreneurs. They were lifelong farmers, and my mother is an artist. And I think what I really learned through that experience and have learned by meeting so many of you is the wonderful things that entrepreneurs do to make our communities and our cities and just our world a wonderful place. And, people have vision and then they fight to make that vision real. And those fights are important and they do a lot to add richness to our communities, to our value, and to our lives. And so I really appreciate meeting people, and I really appreciate hearing the different ways that people have a dream and then the way that they go to pursue making that dream real. So just a couple of initiatives that are a little bit new this year that I'm going to talk about. One that is new this year is Just Cannabusiness. We are so excited to take this on. As you may know, there is a complicated but continually moving set of regulations around what can and cannot be sold or consumed or used regarding cannabis. And so one of the things that we're looking at, and I'm going to pull that back up, is can everyone see? I feel like my share just came down, so I'm going to pull that back up. But regarding cannabis, we were asked actually in this year's budget by DC Council to create an initiative to support equitable access to the cannabis market in DC. And I'm not sure why the screen share won't stay up. So if it doesn't come back up in a moment, I will just go ahead and talk through the slides without you being able to see them. So my apologies for that. So for the Cannabusiness Initiative, we are looking at what does it mean to support equitable access to that market. It's hard, and we have a particular focus on returning citizens and veterans. And to explain that focus, it was both what we were charged to do, but these are two groups who have been harmed by the war on drugs in different ways. For many returning citizens, they may have been incarcerated during the war on drugs, and for many veterans, they may have been discharged due to use of cannabis, particularly for PTSD. We are running stakeholder engagements because there's a lot to learn in this complicated regulatory space and what is a fairly new market, at least to have a legal market for sale. There are a lot of federal restrictions that are still on this market. And so we are doing stakeholder learning and engagement. We are hoping, we will never know until we have the exact details out, but we are hoping that later this year we will be opening an innovation grant regarding this. We also have another initiative. It hasn't quite fully launched yet, though there's a lot of great activity happening related to it, which is CBE Green. You may not hear Inno.ED say CBE as much, but let me tell you that CBE, or Certified Business Enterprise, is a very big part of the Department of Small and Local Business Development. DSLBD overall certifies local businesses so that they can get preference points on DC government contracts and get preference in DC government subcontracts. And I'm just going to go ahead and say hi since my screen share doesn't want to stay up. But Certified Business Enterprises have a lot of opportunity to be involved in different parts of things that are happening all across government. And one big thing that is happening across government is on climate change. So DC has passed some of the most aggressive laws in the country to be able to support energy efficiency, particularly as it relates to buildings. Buildings do use a lot of energy and that can contribute to climate change. So we are working with the Department of Energy and the Environment and the DC Sustainable Energy Utility on being able to connect CBEs to opportunities to be able to get involved in building benchmarking, to be able to get involved in building upgrades and retrofits. And so we've started to engage. There'll be a bigger program launch coming soon, but that's going to mean that anyone who is a CBE or CBE eligible can actually start engaging now on a lot of free trainings that are coming from the DC SEU. And these have career pathways for both staff of CBEs, but also DC residents to get into green jobs. And so they just launched yesterday what some of those training opportunities are going to be for this year. And we really want to help people get connected to that. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Another piece that we do, and it's similar to what Camille talked about with the Money Monday series, we also do a weekly lunch and learn. Those are on Wednesdays at noon. They're usually 30 to 60 minutes, all sorts of different topics. We do this literally every week. We've had incubator programs come and talk about how to apply. We've had other people who provide great training across the district come and talk about their training programs. We get DC government partners like DCRA, but many others, to come and talk about how to work with them. We also do some of our own content. We had an extensive series about grants generally, not just grants with us, but grants with other parts of district government. And then we love hearing about promotional opportunities. And so the National Cherry Blossom Festival came and talked about how all DC businesses can get involved. We do this every week, so there are a lot more topics that I've talked about. But we really hope that you take a look at our Eventbrite and think about how and when you want to connect and get some of that information, because we're always looking for more information to bring to you. And if you would like to see a topic you haven't seen recently, please let us know. We could see if we have a partner who can talk about it, or we might be able to develop up that content. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So for technical assistance, I actually am just listed under general business TA. So there's not any one particular specialty. So I'm happy to tackle literally any question that you have. There are many things in the world that I don't know about, but what we typically do, if it's something that I'm not as familiar with, is we'll create a plan of action for how you're going to find the information that you need. And we're usually able to do that successfully, and also get people connected, once again, just like everyone else does, to additional resources that are throughout the district. And so love ideating with you, love being able to come up with some different ways in which you can attack a problem in your business, or you can really think about what are the different steps in your dream so that you can take them one step at a time. Let's go ahead and go to that next slide. Okay, so we are getting ready to wrap up, but we do want to say a lot of thank yous. You know, we are one team among many people who do a lot of work to support you across the district. We have a lot of support and within the agency itself, as well as the other divisions who provide support to you as well. We haven't gone over that today, but anytime we're really happy to tell you about the other DSLBD divisions. But then we work with a lot of other partners across DC, and so we want to say thank you to all of them. And we want to say thank you to you. Much like Camille just said, a lot of what we learn about what people need is because people tell us. And so the more that you tell us about what you need or where you're going, the better it can help us think about how to define programs, make sure that those programs are accessible, and think about bringing training and other information to you. We can go to that last slide. So we are well over time. So there are more things that we do that we didn't talk about today, but these are a lot of the really major ones. And we really wanted to be able to do this all at once, because typically what we just spent 45 minutes telling you, we will cover in 60 seconds. And people say, wow, that's a lot. And so we wanted to make sure that we gave a fuller explanation of it in case some of these resources are helpful to you, or if you have ideas for ways we can make these resources better, or other resources that need to happen. So I just want to say thank you to the full team. We're going to stop recording, but we're going to stay on. And so we're happy to stay on for a bit and chat with folks or answer questions if you have them. But if I haven't said it yet, because it's very, very true, I'm incredibly proud of the work of this team, and I'm incredibly proud of the work of DC small businesses, and we're really excited to engage with you.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I allowed to talk? I raised my hand. I don't know. How's that work?
Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna go ahead and stop the recording. So that way you don't have to worry about your question being on the recording for later. I think it's still